This is episode 16. And before I get into introducing my guest, I want to make you guys aware of us being in phase 2 of reopening Nashville. That requires that retail stores and commercial businesses continue at 3/4 capacity. Employees have to be screened daily and wear masks. And in accordance with the Order 8, all residents must wear masks or face coverings at all times if leaving their home. No gatherings over 25 people. These are social gatherings. And then gyms and high-touch businesses like hair, nail salons may continue operate at half capacity. And then we continue to hold social distancing and keeping at least 6 feet away from others at all times, including while outdoors. Restaurants may continue to offer dine-in services at half capacity. Bars must remain closed until at least August 16th. Residents who are 65 and up and those with underlying health conditions should stay home. Those who have the ability to work from home should continue to do so. Day camps may operate at full capacity provided social distancing can be maintained at all times. And then live entertainment is permitted. Dance floors remain closed though. Metro parks and facilities, including dog parks, tennis courts, basketball courts, playgrounds, skate parks, splash pads, and little league sports may remain open. All of this you all can find at safenashville.org if you're interested in reading that and staying abreast to the current phase that Nashville is in and our plan to roadmap for reopening Nashville. So today I'm excited to talk to you guys with Nashville Zoo. He's a long-term friend of Urban Threads and True Talks. He was actually one of the first I interviewed on True Talks back in 2016. So this is long overdue for him to make another appearance here. We've worked together throughout the years of me updating you all on my Urban Threads blog page about the latest happenings at Nashville Zoo, some of their later exhibits, and I'll provide you guys links with it as well. But today we're going to talk about kind of the adjustments they're having to make with COVID-19 being present and what they have going on and how you can still come to the zoo during this time. Because as I just read to you guys, they're still able to follow in line with that phase 2 ordering and being open. And so without taking too much longer in introducing this episode, I'm going to go ahead and welcome the Marketing and Public Relations Director, Jim Bartoo, to True Talks. How you doing, man?
It's good to see you again, Trinice.
You've been hanging in there?
Yeah, I mean, the zoo opened up on June 15th after being closed for 3 months. We appreciate our members who stuck with us. We extended all the memberships by 4 months to just kind of give everybody a chance to come back. Some have, some haven't. The mayor, as you know, has issued us or allowed us to open up under the phase 2 plan. We can stay at 50% capacity is what we've been allowed to do. And what we're seeing at the zoo, or what we've seen for the past month and a half, 6 weeks or so, is about 33% capacity is kind of what we're seeing, or 33% of what we had projected before this whole crazy COVID thing launched. So we are down from what we saw. And because of that, we're now offering, we're reducing the price because we know times are tough for people. We know it can be hard to get outside. So we're offering an afternoon special throughout August. If you come out at 1 o'clock or later, you can get into the zoo for half price.
Wow.
You can buy those online. So that's available for August. And for the first week that we're now seeing, it's doing really well. We're seeing attendance jump quite significantly because of that. Temperatures are down, and that's nice too. So yeah, things are looking up. We're kind of getting back to where we're hoping to be. But it's going to be a long jog for us.
Yeah, I'm sure. How are you guys taking precautions with the whole social distancing measures, and then cleaning surfaces? I guess has been the main issue at public places, business and stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good question. We require masks because of Order 8 from the health department. We require masks while you're out here. There's a lot of areas in the zoo where social distancing just simply isn't possible. I know you're outside, and I know it seems like sometimes you're all alone in the park, but we encourage you to keep that mask on as you walk around. We have signs throughout the park that encourage social distancing. We've closed a number of areas that we just simply can't safely move people through without social distancing them. So we have closed the Unseen New World, high contact areas with animals like Kangaroo Kickabout, Lorikeet Landing. Those areas are closed. Both because it's hard to keep people separated, but also because there's a possibility that this virus may cross-contaminate into our animals. And so we don't allow a lot of touching. We've kind of removed that aspect from the zoo just to keep everyone safe. Water fountains are turned off. The jungle gym is closed again because of a high contact area. All of our employees have to have their temperature taken every day before they come in. We're required to wear masks throughout the day. So it's a lot of steps are being taken. We have sanitation stations all over the zoo that you can take part in. One-way traffic all the way through the zoo. So when you come in to the time you leave, you're taking basically a one-way path all the way around the zoo.
And you had mentioned that you all have the ability to, or we have the ability to pre-order admission tickets. How is that working now? Is it just visiting the website and doing it, or certain times we have to go on there?
Yes, exactly. So, and that's a really good question. Something I forgot to mention is we are doing timed entry into the zoo. So you have to pick a time that you want to come to the zoo. Once you're in the zoo, you can stay as long as you like.
Okay.
But you have to choose a timed entry. And we do that so we can kind of spread out all the people throughout the day. Zoo members have an opportunity to choose every half or every hour at the top of the hour. So 9, 10, 11, that's when they can come in. And then non-members can choose the bottom of each hour, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, to be able to come in. And as those areas fill up, we only allow so many people in per half hour. So as those areas fold up, those no longer become available. You have to come a little bit further in the day. And then again, if you want to take advantage of the half price, you're going to be looking at any openings from 1 o'clock on.
Yeah. What's been your least busiest day? My mom wants to come and visit the zoo. She misses it. And I was telling her I want to go and check out everything again. You know, I always love coming there. But like she can't be around a lot of people. So she's just nervous and haven't been around anyone outside of our house. So she's like, ask them that, please. So, Mom, I asked the question. Now it's all on you.
And Mom, we're going to tell you, it's later in the day. And that was one of the reasons also that we dropped it to half price, because we were seeing, particularly in July when it was so hot outside, everybody was coming between 9 and noon. And then it just kind of dropped away to nothing. So that's part of the reason why we dropped to half price in the afternoon, was try to encourage people to come back out later in the day. It's working a little bit, but if your mom wants to come out when nobody's here and she thinks she can see the zoo in about 3 hours, I would book a 3 o'clock and stay till we close.
Okay.
That's when you're going to see the least amount of people. Now, it could be a very hot day when you do that, because that's typically the hotter part of the day. But look at the weather forecast, pick a nice cool day. They're going to be coming soon, and book a 3 o'clock attendance.
Well, you know my attendance track. You know, every time I visit the zoo, it's either raining. We have a running joke, guys, between us, and that he knows I'm coming there whenever it's raining. It's terrible.
Right. Yeah.
I don't get it, man. I promise you, it's not intentional. It happens every single time.
When we get a dry spell and it gets real dry around here, I called Trinice and asked her if she'll come visit the zoo, just because we need some rain.
Yep. That'll be the one day it's a downpour. I'm like, what is going on? I was there for the groundbreaking ceremony for the HCA clinic, and it rained. We were under tents eating delicious chocolate covered strawberries, but still it rained.
It rained. Yep.
But you know what? I think it's you, Jim. I think it's you, because I came out there one time and it didn't rain. I went actually for the grand opening of the HCA center. And I didn't see you there, so it didn't rain. That's why.
Maybe it's the two of us together. We create some kind of storm.
Yep, it's changing. That's all right, though. I appreciate it. Every time I see you, I'm always excited to chat with you guys.
It's good to see you too.
You talked about the hand-to-hand contact with animals, and you guys restricting that with visitors. The
Yep.
kangaroo exhibit is actually where people can pet kangaroos, so that makes sense. But how is this affecting the veterinarians and their contact with the animals, or even the zookeepers?
Oh, that's a great question. So our staff goes through a fairly rigorous process of being tested to make sure that they're virus free when they come in. The animal care staff already takes some pretty serious precautions to prevent the spread of disease between humans and animals. And there's only some disease that can do that, not all disease. But in general, when keepers work around primates, cats, other animals that may be susceptible to cross-contamination, they're wearing masks at all times. Sometimes they're
Okay.
wearing gloves. Sometimes they'll completely suit up. It just kind of depends on the situation. Um, More so now with cats, now that we know that cats can contract COVID-19, our carnivore department that cares for all the cats are now much more cautious of that when they're around the cats. They keep a distance with them if possible, and when they can't, they have masks and gloves and face shields and things like that that they wear.
Yeah, I mean it. It's a difficult time, guys. We're all soldiering through this. My mom can't stop talking about Zoolumination last year, and so she was really looking forward to going back.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that this year.
I
It's sad,
know.
and I'll tell you why. It's not because we don't want to have it, or it's not because we don't think that we could run it properly with social distancing and with the pandemic in place. It's because Zoolumination would not be possible without the engineers and the builders that create these new lanterns year after year, and those people are all from China,
Yeah.
and we can't get visas for any of them during this pandemic. They're just not allowing that kind of travel right now. So because of that, we're just not able to run Zoolumination this year. We'll have to get a vaccine before we can bring that back.
Yeah, see, that was one of my questions for you because I know it was an international piece there, and
Yeah.
we do have travel restrictions. So, how are you guys working around that as it pertains to your conservation efforts that y'all are involved in worldwide?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the short answer is we're not putting employees in locations around the world anymore. I mean,
Oh,
we
okay.
have made it a point to send knowledgeable people to different corners of the globe to help with animal care, to help with habitat restoration, to help with all different tagging. Uh, Exploration, research, all the different stuff that goes into conservation on boots on the ground stuff we've had to pull away from. However, we are still supporting conservation through financial means. We do research on the property that we share with people around the world. So there is still conservation efforts that are going on. It's just that our physical presence inside native habitats has had to been uh, frozen for a while until we can get travel back under safe conditions.
Now, we talked about a lot of the events closing, but are there any that will continue this year?
Yeah, not many. We are looking. We're looking at trying to still have a beer festival of some kind. It won't be brew at the zoo, but we're looking into the possibility of doing something like that. Um, we have a lot of obstacles that we need to get around to be able to do that. Because if we're going to do it, we want to make sure that it's done correctly with the orders that the mayor's put into place and the health department has put into place. And we think we have it figured out, but we're still kind of going through it and talking over that stuff. So I don't really want to say anything more than that, but we hope to have that. And we hope to have our Halloween event, Boo at the Zoo, in October. And again, we're going to have to make modifications. We're not going to be able to offer some of the things that cause people to be in tight spaces, like the hayride. That's not something that I think we're going to be able to pull off because you just can't simply put a lot of people on a hayride anymore. That just doesn't, that's not a good idea at this day and age. So we may have to do it without a hayride, but we are looking at ways to be able to kind of safely get people through the park again in kind of a one-way process, but they can still stop and enjoy um, many of the things that we've offered in the past.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get back to some sense of normalcy
Yeah,
soon, guys. Yeah.
everybody is.
Yeah.
Everybody is.
Just mask up. If you're in public places, mask up. Use hand sanitizer when you can't wash them for 20 seconds. Wash your hands for 20 seconds, but just let's flatten the curve because we don't want to continue life as like this at all.
And masks are really, it's key. I am glad that the country is finally starting to kind of move in that direction to understand that masks are important. So it's taken us a while to get on the same page, but I think we're finally moving in that direction, and that's encouraging to see.
Yeah, because going to the zoo is a lot of fun. Last year we had exhibit after exhibit just opening. I mean, I was running out there so often. I'm like, I was just out here for this, but like in another month or two, I'm going to have to come out here for this. And it's just exciting to see how we're expanding. And that really seems like the year of expansion for our zoo. And so we just got the viewing area at the clinic. It's so cool, guys. I was there for the artificial insemination of Lam Choi and a few others. And it's fun to see those procedures. And now that we have that ability you want to wear the mask so you can get out there and enjoy some live procedures of very exotic animals.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff that's happening up there at the vet center.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I never would have imagined that space we were standing in would turn into that. Like I saw the photos, but physically being inside of that building was just amazing to me. And so guys, if you want to check that out, I'll provide a link to that video in this description and all other links to updates I've did at the zoo, but definitely go and see it. Wear a mask, go see it.
It's state of the art. Yeah, it is arguably the best veterinary center in the country.
Yeah, and that took a while to get. And if you want, you can go back to the previous video when actually Jim was in my original True Talks release. I think I like this season a little better now, man. It's grown a lot more, but that episode was really good. And he was talking about the vet center coming to that space. And so it was a little bit ahead of its time, but sitting now in this position and you being able to go and see it again, I highly encourage it. But let's talk about some of the other things we have coming up at the zoo.
Okay. Well, we do have some baby animals. The virus has not stopped that process from happening. So we have joeys that are coming out of pouches, and although you can't go into Kangaroo Kickabout, you can see them from the viewing bridge that's right there at the exhibit. We have a baby. Our first cassowary chick was hatched at the zoo. And her name is Neo, and she's just hysterical. Now, she's behind the scenes, but on our social media pages, you can see all kinds of video of her just jumping around. She's a spaz. It's just hysterical to watch. And we have 2 caracal cubs that were born, and the caracal cubs are being hand-raised by the Behavioral Husbandry Department for use in outreach. So at schools, shows, they're going to leash train them, so you might see them walking around the park. We have a flock of Chilean flamingos that walk around the park now too, and they're kind of trained to stay together and walk with the keepers. So if you come out, you might be able to see them walking on the pathways as you're kind of visiting as well.
Oh man, I would flip if I saw that. Like, yay!
It's cool because they just kind of walk right past you, and they're tall. They're really, it's amazing to just kind of all of a sudden see 8. It's like 8 or 10 of these that just kind of walk right past you. It's amazing. Yeah.
I will send you an email in all caps. I saw the flamingos. It's so cool. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited about some of the eatery expansions you all are doing too. You put me up on one that I didn't even know was coming. I knew about the ice cream parlor, but I didn't know about the other side of it. All thing I saw was pizza. When I was last out there, I saw a banner for pizza, and I was like, "Oh man, they're gonna have to kick me out of here if they get some pizza."
Yep. And that's still we're still working on that. It isn't quite open yet, but we have our Zoofari Cafe, which is being renovated this week, but it should be done by the end of the week.
Renovated. It looks perfect already.
I know. It's the inside. They're working on something on the inside. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm just the marketing guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, next door we're working on a pizza kitchen over there, so you can have pizza. And then around the corner, close to where our jungle gym is, we've got a coffee and cones place, and you can go there and get coffee, Frothy Monkey coffee.
Ooh.
And then we have soft serve ice cream, and I believe Dippin' Dots is also being served there. But you can get all kinds of soft serve, and then some high end coffee, some nice bougie coffee.
Oh wow, yeah, because that frothy monkey is really really good,
It is good,
really
yeah.
good. Oh, it's exciting. Okay, so now expect to see me sometime soon. I'm gonna
Okay.
have my mom with me. We'll be out there trying everything out and seeing some animals because it's difficult. I mean, we're sitting in isolation majority of the day, and then when we do leave, if we decide to either take a long drive, that's still all of your time in the car.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it would be nice, even if I have to just engage with animals. It's a pleasant experience.
It's one of the few things that you can still do and still be relatively by yourself because of the timed entry. They spread out pretty good, so it is a good time to be able to get out, see something, walk around, get out of the house a little bit. Pretty much everybody that's here is wearing masks. There's always going to be people that just want to take them off when they don't see other people around, and then they forget to put them back on, and people get bent out of shape and those kind of things. So we do encourage people to wear masks all the time, but we can't be everywhere at once. So you may see people in corners that may have pulled them down and forgot to have them on. It happens from time to
Yeah.
time, but for the most part, everybody's being really good.
Yeah, that's refreshing to hear. So, and everybody knows those scenarios happen in stores, they happen everywhere. So, really, we're
Yep.
sitting in a position of learning how to, live in a world with COVID-19. We're not
Yep.
going to go to the world before all of this happened. That's just gone. So, this is
Yep.
our new norm. Explore what that looks like for you and your household and where your comfort lies at the end of the day. And
Yep.
that changes all throughout the day, guys. I'll be the first to attest. Sometimes I'm more paranoid than others. And then other times I'm like, hey, if only thing I do today is garden, I'm good.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, yeah.
Well, and to understand that everybody's going through the same thing, and it's a learning
Hmm.
curve for people to be out in public, to wear a mask, to socially distance. All these things are very new for a lot of people. So to remember all of that, to try to learn it's a new practice to learn for a lot of people. So a lot of times people just don't get it right. It's going to take a while for everybody to start getting it right. So being patient with people and understanding, I think, is part of this process as well. I know it's a very anxiety driven time, but to just kind of understand that people are people, and I believe that everybody has good intentions for what they want to
Yeah.
do, and to understand that they're learning as much as you are.
For sure. Yeah. I think it just varies per house because, like, people who live around folks who are considered high risk through this gap, they're already entering with a certain level of anxiety. And so it's just going to vary. But yeah, we all taking it one day at a time. That's
That's
all
right.
we can do and stay informed and learn as much as possible. And again, if you guys want to know what we're doing here in Nashville, to those of you who are located in Nashville, Tennessee, visit asafernashville.org. They always keep you abreast to the latest update to COVID. And then we've also had press conferences to occur every single day of this pandemic. So just stay tuned in, stay locked in at your local news channels or that virtual website there. So, all right, Jim, I think I read somewhere that y'all suffered some damages to some of the exhibits due
Yeah.
to a storm. You want to talk a little bit about that and any funding that's occurring because of it, repair
Uh,
stuff?
yeah, we had a storm that blew through the zoo. This is not the tornado. This is not the
Yep.
real destructive
I
one that hit
thought it was,
downtown.
man. I thought it
No,
was.
yeah, this was that we luckily we escaped a lot of that. This was a storm that blew through on Easter weekend,
Okay.
Easter Sunday, and it took down 60 or 70 trees across the property. We have 188 acres, and about half of our acreage is undeveloped. There are huge wooded areas, so a lot of trees came down in those areas, but also a lot of trees came down in the areas that where the people walk around, and across fence lines for animals. And some of these trees are very old. They date back to pre-Civil War times. Beautiful, huge trees that just got snapped up in this process. And we saw a pretty significant amount of structural damage to buildings and fence lines and things like that. We immediately put word out on social media to let people know, hey, we've seen a pretty significant hit, and the public stepped up. Just like Nashville always does. They pitched in, and we were able to raise a significant amount of funding to be able to help cover the cost for something like that. So it happened at a very unfortunate time of being closed and not having the kind of income to be able to work with us, but we were able to get all of the trees off of fence lines, and anything that was crucial to be fixed was fixed pretty quickly. So we don't have any animals get, especially dangerous ones.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Listen, I thought about that when I was in the procedure room. I'm like, if this clouded leopard wakes up or even moves a little bit, I'm just going to politely walk out and let the vets do what they do.
That's right.
You had Smithsonian in the building, so somebody should have knew something. I'm trusting.
That's right. Yeah. You don't have to be the fastest person. You just have to be faster than the slowest person.
Right. That is so true. Yeah. No. That's up close and personal and nerve wracking a little bit when you see things. It's like, did they do that or did it do that? Yeah. But I'm glad to hear that we were able to repair it as much as possible. When me and my brother saw the social media posts, we immediately shared it. We actually made some donations. He actually bought some merch. And so, we were like, let's make it happen as much as possible. Because I love the zoo.
Well, thank you. That's all we ask, is that people, stay in touch and come to the zoo and visit the zoo, become a member if you like it. And, if you can help us, that'd be great. We're a nonprofit organization, so we rely on the community, the support of the community to survive. We would not be able to do this if people weren't coming to the zoo and buying memberships and buying merchandise and doing all the things that you do to be able to support a local organization, just like a small business. Yeah. It's the same, works the same.
For sure. Well, before we get out of here, I would like to ask a question about bad weather at the zoo. What does that look like in securing the animals and making sure, that exhibit doors are locked or in place where they reduce the chances of being damaged?
Right. Yeah. And the zoo has a protocol for almost everything, almost any kind of emergency situation, including severe weather. And the first order of business is to make sure our guests are safe, right? So if we see severe weather rolling in, we see some alerts for tornado watches, tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, these kind of things, we'll have people that sweep the park and ask people to head to different shelter areas that are considered safe areas. We also have our keepers that then move into the process of moving the animals indoor to safe places as well. So most of the indoor holding areas that these animals are in are safe areas. They're cement bunkers, they're areas that are fairly secure. And that's generally what happens is guests are moved into safe areas, animals are moved into safe areas, staff move into safe areas, and we wait for the storm to blow over. And if there's any damage, then we call in the city for support and help, and we escort people out of the park if we have to. We do what we can to be able to make sure that everybody's safe.
Yeah, you got to know they have plenty of protocols because they don't close. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 days out of the year, they are open around the clock.
Yeah. If it's just a thunderstorm or, it's raining or something like that, we're open for business. A lot of people love walking around in the rain, and the animals, for the most part, these animals, they normally live in rainstorms. So rain typically doesn't bother most of the animals. Some of them are a little spoiled and like to go stay dry, but most of them are fine just standing in the rain. So.
Yeah. So when this quarantine happened, this was kind of an abnormal thing.
Actually, we had several animals that were that would after a while, they started perking up when people were walking by, because we were closed for 3 months. So for the longest time, many of our animals didn't see a lot of people throughout the day. They'd see the keeper come and go, and check on them, but they wouldn't really see anything else. So when they'd see somebody new, or they'd see somebody around in the corner, they'd come over and investigate and say, "Hey, what's going on?" Now
Yeah.
they're kind of used to seeing people through the park again, so they've kind of moved back into that, "Oh, this is just another person walking by," kind of phase. But in the beginning, there were several species that were, um, it's hard to say if they missed people, because I don't know if you can apply that kind of emotion to the animal. They can't tell you, how they feel. So you can only look at them and say, well, it's obvious that they are not used to seeing what they're seeing now.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because the animals engage with you a lot of the times. When they see people, they're just as curious about you as you are of them. And
That's
some
right.
of them
Yeah.
come up to the glass of the viewing areas, and like it's
Hmm.
just interesting to watch, that human interaction, human animal interaction. So yeah, I was wondering, how are they doing? How are they holding up? I think I've only had to ask you this once before, and that was for the solar eclipse, because no one
Yeah.
really knew how they were going to react to this.
Right. And some of them completely flipped out, and others, like cats, they don't, they're cats. They don't
Yeah,
care,
yeah.
they're just, whatever.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Moon in front of the sun, big deal.
Yeah,
So that's kind of how it works sometimes. Is some of them are very excited, and some of them aren't. But you're right, they are curious of people. Some of them are. For them, it's day after day of an ongoing human parade. They just
that's
watch
true.
watch everybody walk by and just kind of observe.
Wow, that's true. Well, thank you, Jim, for talking to me again. It's always a pleasure catching up with you.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can do that at a closer distance than 6 feet next time, and without mask.
That's
One day
right. Yeah.
soon, one day soon, we'll speak that
Yep.
into existence. But hey, if anybody wants to stay up on the latest with the Nashville Zoo, you can definitely visit their page directly at nashvillezoo.org, or you can go to urbanthread615.com, get that stack of stories, and I'll post links to everything I've ever done with the zoo, as well as what they currently have going on, and information about what we've talked about, if you plan to pay a visit to the zoo. And I guess stay up, see what they're going to be doing in terms of event wise, because right now that event page is full of what do you guys calling it, Safari Fridays, or what is it called?
Yeah. It's all the promotions that we're
Yeah,
doing, and all
pretty
the
much.
Kroger Safari Fridays and the
Yeah,
half price afternoons, free carousel rides on Wednesdays.
yeah,
It's that kind of stuff. Just giving people another reason to say, you know what, I know we've been in the house for 4 months, but let's go out and ride
yeah.
a carousel.
By
Yeah.
now they would have like the overnight stays at the zoo, and talking about
Yeah.
the summer camp and
Movies.
all of that.
Yep. That's right. Nighttime movies where you come and lay out a blanket with a bunch of other people and watch movies and outside on a large screen. Yeah.
Yeah,
All that's kind of, I
man.
know. It's
We'll
weird.
get through it. We'll get through it. But
We
follow
will.
them everywhere at Nashville Zoo, on social media, and get at me at Urban Thread 615 everywhere. But like I always leave you guys, be blessed in every day that God gives you. Your life is full of purpose. Until next time, deuces.